Good evening, everyone. Before we start the meeting, perhaps three gentlemen on my right here. They are from the Oystermouth Bowling Club, the Mumbles Bowling Club, and the Croquet Club, and they're very kindly come along and to do with the Bowls Pavilion, etc. Oh, and Councillor Thomas is just arrived. So, if you just like to, for the screen there, if you just introduce yourself, so those that are online have an idea who you are.
Yeah, well, I'm Paul Thomas. I'm secretary to the Mumbles Croquet Club.
Chris Maggs. I'm involved with Oystermouth Bowls Club.
And I'm Nigel Richards, secretary of Mumbles Bowls Club.
That's great. Thank you very much. Hi, Will.
Hi.
Okay. Apologies for absence.
No, we've got a complete team today, so no apologies, Chair.
Any declarations of interest? Minutes of the previous meeting. To approve the meetings of the meeting held on the 20th of November as a true record. We didn't have a meeting in December because we weren't quorate. Everyone happy with that? Ian, outstanding actions from previous meetings, please.
Yes, Chair, there's two outstanding actions. On our list, number 5 relates to the working group, the Underhill working group establishing the feasibility of installing basketball facilities at Underhill Park. And prior to the meeting, I discussed it with yourself and the clerk, and we're going to complete that action for the foreseeable future.
Yeah.
The only other one is number 30, which is to prepare a budget proposal form in relation to installing exercise equipment at Underhill Park. And again, that was completed. That didn't go ahead because of financial restraints, I understand. And that's being deferred indefinitely as well.
Yes, it can always come back.
So that completes the actions, Chair.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Budget monitoring reports up until the 31st of December 24. Have you all looked at those? Everyone happy with those? Thank you. And item number 6 is the Mumbles Bowls Pavilion grant. And what I'll do here, if you don't mind, is hand it over to Francesca.
Excuse me, Chair.
Yes.
Why are we dealing with this, and why is the being looked at as a grants and the financing?
I'm sorry.
Why aren't grants? Why isn't it under a grant? Well,
this budget.
Well, all will be revealed if she lets Francesca speak.
I think once Francesca's made her presentation, it'll all look clear as mud, I'm sure. But you have to remember, or you may recollect, Pam, that when you were chair of Community and Social Development, there was £5,000 set aside for the benefit of a surveyor to have a look at the pavilion. We'd been trying to get the community asset transfer of the Bowls Pavilion from City for years now, for a long, long time. And what we wanted to ensure is that we didn't want to take it over and find that we're taking over, a lot of work and a lot of cost and everything else. So anyway, that's started off with a ring fencing of £5,000, and then it was increased to £10,000. And we're all very happy to say that City are prepared to move forward on a set of works at the pavilion, and Francesca will kindly present that, please.
Thank you, Chair. Pam, the reason being that this has come to this committee is when I had confirmation from Swansea City Council that it had been improved in principle, which I had confirmation about 2 weeks ago, and that the 10,000 that we've already secured from Mumbles Community Council, there was going to be a shortfall because I submitted the whole works form, which I sent and circulated to all councils last Tuesday evening. Personally, I didn't expect that they would accept the whole amount, if I'm perfectly honest, but if you don't ask, you don't get. So there was going to be a shortfall. So upon learning that, I came into MCC just to see if there was any budgets which there was an underspend on, and the RFO confirmed that there was an underspend on this committee for £15,000. So hence why I've kindly asked Ian to put it onto the agenda for this evening, hopefully for this committee's approval. So hopefully that answers why it's come to this committee and not, obviously it will then have to go to full council for it to be ratified there, but that's the reason why it's come to this committee. And just for the purpose of the, yeah, go on, Pam.
So is there no money left in grants then?
I didn't go to grants, it was the I'm going off the RFO's recommendation. So I can't comment on that. I've asked which committee there was an underspend and where this sort of best fitted in, and this is where the RFO suggested I apply for it.
Okay.
Thank you. So as you were, the councillors on the screen, they might have seen the email last Tuesday, but just for the purpose of the recording, this is obviously for the works for Mumbles Bowls Pavilion, which as a ward councillor I submitted to Swansea City Council for grant funding. The obligation is that Swansea Council pays 70% of the total fee with a 30% contribution from elsewhere. The budget cost for the pavilion works, which includes the fascia, guttering, external woodwork repairs, windows, roof repairs, including the scaffolding, external painting, paths, extension to accommodate ladies and accessible WC, internal works as well. So the electrics, floor and decoration in the kitchen unit. And provisional sum for asbestos, because obviously until they do that inspection hatch, we just don't know what we're going to find. So that work, including the department fees, is 47,200. Upgrading to the gents toilets is set at 3,500. And then on the cladding, which I mentioned at the full council meeting last week, on what's been called the pensioners' hats, for the cladding along the side there, is 12,500. So I've sort of broken it down, and again, I'm more than happy to circulate this after the meeting, but just for transparency, so the total cost of renovation works is 63,200 exactly. Swansea City Council's contribution, I worked it out, if they're providing 70% of the funding, is 44,140. So the required 30% contribution is 18,960. Obviously, they have asked that there should be a small contingency fund. I would gauge it around about 10,000, about 10%. So the total contribution, so including the 30% plus the contingency, should be around 25,280. Given the fact that we've already got 10,000 already earmarked for this project, we do need an additional 15,280. So I appreciate that the 15,000 doesn't cover that extra 280, but obviously I'm happy to use my Oystermouth community budget towards that. However, there was 15,000 that was due to go to Underhill, but obviously, as we all learned, that for the various reasons we can't give it to Underhill, and hence why I'm asking for this committee's approval to support this amendment bill.
Right, before I bring the public to put forward anything that they may wish to, can you go first, please, Phil?
Yeah, sorry, I was Could you do the muting thing, please, Ian? Thank you. This is a very exciting project, I must admit. It'd be lovely to see new life breathed into the facilities down there, and I hope we'll see those develop, and maybe that asset transfer happen at some point in the future. My concern, or my point to raise actually, is in terms of councillor, and I mean the city councillor funds, I'm not hearing about match funding from, excuse Team Mumbles coming in on this at the moment. I know that over in Washing House Brook, the similar fund application that's going in from the West Cross councillors for the pathway through there. There is a certain sum of money set aside in the budget for that. I think it's about £10,000, that the councillors are looking to fund 20% of the project themselves. So effectively, the scheme over there, which could cost anywhere between up to £100,000, considering the development there, they're not coming back to Mumbles Community Council and asking for additional funds. They're looking at funding that themselves, and I just wondered what, if anything, Team Mumbles we'd be looking to put in on this project, as it is a City and County of Swansea funding stream for 70% of the work. I can't hear you, by the way, if you're talking.
Yeah, sorry, there's a delay. No, fair point, and I take it on board. However, I would say that obviously being a 3-ward member, we have got 3 successful applications in, which means that each of us are in a similar sort of position. And this is the first time actually I think I've ever asked Mumbles Community Council for money for any of my projects. So I think, after 2.5 years sitting here, plus this is going to be, hopefully, fingers crossed, the reason why the CAT is on hold, which I mentioned last week, is because of this whole fund stream. So that's why, the team, I had a chat with you all, wasn't it, a few months ago, the reason why that's sort of on the boil at the moment. So hopefully we will then be in hopefully, depending on the Cabinet's decision, it will be an asset of Mumbles Community Council, not of Swansea City. So hence why I've gone to Mumbles Community Council, because it should be an asset that they will hopefully inherit. And it's the first time that I've ever asked money from Mumbles Community Council, and given that with all 3 Team Mumbles have got approval in principle, our budget is massively under demand, and the various projects that we've got on going is the honest answer, Phil. We are just hemorrhaging money, is the honest answer.
Thank you, Francesca. Do you want to come back, Phil, or are you quite happy with that?
So am I on mute again now? Thank you. Sorry about that. But the echo is atrocious, actually. I'm happy to understand why you're not at this moment, if your budgets are stretched or what have you. But I think, and obviously I raised that question in committee because I think that question is going to get raised again in full council, and I do think this is a worthwhile project. I think it's fantastic that City have managed to earmark these funds to be spread out and are offering the opportunity for councillors to put in, and that's every councillor in every ward for the City are allowing that to put in. So as you said, you've got your 3 projects and you've been successful in getting your 3 projects up and running. But again, I'm aware that every City councillor has that fund, and I just think that when this comes before full council, further questions may be raised. Okay.
Sorry, Chair, there's a bit of delay there.
So, yes,
My hand is up.
yeah, he did say, go on, Pam.
I didn't hear that, sorry, I didn't hear it. My concerns are the same. It isn't Mumbles Community Council's problem that city councillors are hemorrhaging money. We don't put money into projects because city councillors have seemingly overextended themselves. It's a fabulous project and it's about time that it was put to bed. But it isn't necessarily Mumbles Community Council's place to put all the money in. And if you're asking for another £25,000, this is just a bit much to take in. And if we had had all of these figures before.
Sorry, Pam, it's not 25,000, so it's 15,000. So in total, Mumbles
15,280, okay. So it
Yeah.
would have helped a lot if we had all of these figures before the meeting, so we could think about it, talk to each other and see if we could sort something out before the meeting. But to just drop it like a bomb in the middle of the meeting, that isn't the best, hang on, that isn't the best way to get what you would like to get. I'm very concerned the city councillors are not putting into this at all. It's all coming back to Mumbles Community Council again. That's my concern. I don't know how much you get every year, each of you, but that's my concern. Thank you.
Right, Francesca.
Yeah,
you'll be saying-
thanks, Pam. So I circulated the quotations.
You've gone again. Can't hear a thing.
Yeah, sorry, it was back on mute. So all the figures were provided last Tuesday, and then obviously when the agenda was circulated asking for 15,000, I think there's the bombshell there in the title that I'm asking for 15,000. So I haven't
Yep.
quite dropped you tonight. Yeah, that's fine. If you want to raise concerns why we're not putting anything in, you're entitled to have that opinion. But I just think in the grand scheme of things, when we're talking 25,000 for, I personally think, a fantastic asset and project for the community, when we spent something like 1.1 mil on Underhill, the skate park, X, Y and Z, you know, did city councillors put in then? I don't know.
Yes.
Right.
No, don't think so.
Yeah.
Anyway, well,
And of course, sorry, Will, and of course, we had over £250,000 in grants from the lottery funding. Have you applied to lottery funding for this?
Not for this short turnaround, Pam. I think you're well aware that grants like that, they don't turn around in a couple of months. Unfortunately, I'd love to apply to the Heritage. I got, you know, connections there I'd love to tap into, but this is something that could potentially happen in the next few months. So time's not on our side, unfortunately.
okay,
Thank you.
well,
Yeah, I think the key things here really are that this is going to be a Mumbles Community Council asset long term. So, you know, Mumbles Community Council is going to be responsible for this asset. So that does differentiate it from many other projects. I think there's another thing that you raise a point, Phil, and, you know, if I was in your chair, I'd raise the same one. But I think with all due respect, there's a lot more funding pressures in Mumbles than West Cross. There's a lot more things going on. There's a lot more projects that we could pretend. I mean, I could apply for 20 of these grants. You know, there's a lot of things that we'd like to do, and I'm sure you would like to do if you were representing Mumbles. So, you know, when Francesca says we're hemorrhaging money, what she means is that obviously we've got a lot of projects that we want to do. So this is a really good one, and I think for the amount of money that we're talking about, you know, 15,000 extra is a lot of money. I'm not disputing. But when you compare it to what other things we spend 15,000 on, it's peanuts, and it's also a great.
Peanuts.
Well, if you listen to what I said before, I said 15,000 is a lot of money, and if you let me finish, and my point, which was going to be that it's peanuts in comparison to what we spend on other projects, which are nowhere near as good as this, that will have the same impact. The last thing I just want to say is, just to put on record, this has been a lot of work for Francesca, so congratulations and well done, and hopefully, you know, obviously this has got my support, and, you know, well done, because I know how much work it was for you to put it all together, so well done on that. Thank you, Chair.
okay, just before I bring the gentleman in to make a comment if they choose to. I think it's a wonderful project. I joined the council in 2017. The clerk had been trying for years before to try and have something done with the pavilion and the rest of it that goes with it. Community Council have been loyal supporters in providing funds for the maintenance of the green, and long may that continue, but that's not on the agenda tonight. But what is on the agenda is something which will look marvelous. It'll be absolutely terrific. And, you know, it'll blend in with all the monies that have been spent on the promenade. And what was called the pensioners building will be reclad. The toilets will be done. You know, it'll look absolutely superb. And yes, no one's doubting the fact that funds are being asked for. But I have to go along with sort of Will's viewpoint on this. You know, it's by comparison to some of the other schemes that we've been involved with, it isn't really that much. The good thing is that we're managing to work with City. I think that's a good thing, because there's always been this edge between MCC and City. And, you know, congratulations to Francesca on working on that. Anyway, that's my say. And whichever one of you would like to say anything?
Well, I'd
Okay.
just like to make a few comments if I can.
Yeah, please.
Everyone seems to be agreed. It's a worthwhile project to undertake, and it's a good thing to do, and it will be a great advertisement for the Mumbles community and the Mumbles village. What I'm hearing is that there's a little bit of debate about where the money should come from. The majority of the money, as I understand it, is coming from the shared prosperity funding, which is coming through the city, but is actually coming from central government. I might be wrong on that, but essentially what you're being offered here is an opportunity to fund only 30% of something, and the rest of the money, the 70%, is coming from central government through the city. What is being proposed in terms of works were recommendations that were laid out more than 10 years ago from a survey that was undertaken in September 2015. And the recommendations are there in black and white, and they were paid for by Mumbles Community Council. They weren't paid for by the city. They weren't paid for by by central government. So the recommendations that you paid for 10 years ago have been sitting, waiting for someone to act on. Now you have a golden opportunity to do that, I would argue. And I think you should grasp it with both hands. That's all I have to say.
Excellent. Thank you.
Can I just say the money side is something that you have to consider. I mean, we've done some work around that, and we were very pleased to be able to get involved in having discussions about things. I do quite a lot of work down in the sort of green area, looking after some of the grounds and the green and what have you. And I have to tell you, it's been a very pleasant surprise, the number of people that notice there are very few green areas really down that stretch of the Mumbles. And people really like coming around and enjoying the environment. And given all the work that's been done, it's been fascinating looking at all that sort of, you know, civil engineering work going on, all those big machines, but you're going to end up with an amazing coastal path at the end of this. And having a green space then, which actually has a really nice pavilion and that tin shed covered in a way that people don't see it as nice anymore. I'm sure for the people of Mumbles, they would greatly respect any decisions that you want to make that make that a great improvement. So I think that from an environmental point of view, looking at buildings that deteriorate over time, if something doesn't happen, it will continue to deteriorate. And obviously, money will become an increasingly volatile issue, won't it? Because the world isn't going to get any easier to find money. So after Paul said, I mean, it's true that obviously it's an opportunity, isn't it? But I do think that the local community of those people that I meet walking through the park with their dogs, with their kids and what have you, really like the area. And I think doing anything that improves the environment that people live in is something to be greatly appreciated and supported, I think. So anything you can do to do that would be, I think, much loved by the people of Mumbles as well. So I think that would be a good thing to do.
All I'd like to say, basically, I agree with the two gentlemen say. Come back to what Councillor Tom was saying earlier on. It's going to be an asset to, well, it's going to be an asset transferred to Mumbles Community Council. And if you don't do this work now, once the asset has been transferred, the state of the toilets, the ladies and the gents, and the actual pavilion, I'm sure Mumbles Community Council will have to fork out for that work. Because the ladies haven't got a wash hand basin, which is a must. There's no disabled facilities there at all. That could be, although we haven't got no disabled bowlers as such, but it all comes in to have a decent pavilion down there for a minimum cost of £15,000.
Thank you. Well, thank you very much. That's much appreciated that you've taken the time and trouble to come along and speak to us. And you're quite obviously looking forward to the schemes happening.
Absolutely.
So yes, we'll go to a vote now, and all those in favour with the wiring of the £15,000 as is on the agenda. Those in favour? Those against? Are you abstaining, Pam?
I am. I don't know enough about it to make the vote. I need more information.
She's abstaining, yeah.
And just for the members in the room, Ian, I don't vote because I'm the clerk.
Oh yes, I beg your pardon.
Just in case they're wondering why my hand hasn't gone up.
Terry Lee, she's the clerk to the council. Sorry about that. Introduced everyone else bar you.
4-0.
Okay, well, thank you for that. We have one more item. If you'd like to go now, it's a very quick one, this, but we'll have a chat after. The item number 7 is the appointment of a committee member, Trevor Carr, onto the Community and Social Development. It'll have to be ratified at full council, but anyway, it's come through us. It'll go to full council. And the next one then, item number 8, exercise equipment. This is for the exercise equipment at West Cross Seafront. It's an update. Possibly nearly at the beginning of March, works may well commence. I have mentioned it before. We did allow £5,000 for it. We've managed to have an agreement with City that they will purchase the equipment, deliver the equipment, install the equipment for, I think it's 4,000. It's under 5,000 anyway, so that's very promising. Well,
Just do we have to vote on Trevor's acceptance of the committee?
I was about to raise the same question.
well, yes, well, it goes without saying for me. Yes, I'll come back to that. So you're happy then with item number 8? If we just go back to number 7, all those in favour of having Trevor Carr on the committee?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, thank you for that. And that's that. Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks,
Anyway,
everybody.
bye. It's nice to meet you all.
Yes.
It's really good.
That just so that will now go to
Just stop recording, chairs.
so
No.
where it will probably be that times about another